But, I mean, confusing is the word that can be used to describe the last 4 play days of the Six Invitational. Earlier today, Parabellum defeated Ninjas in Pajamas, and Giants and Makers went into the 15th round. Giants coming out 8-7. We have upset the norm. Established order is gone. It is anybody's game at this present moment. So for TSM, you're coming in up against a very hot Giants team that, well, they won their last matchup. We'll go through the operator bans right now and see what exactly happens. And do you have any preliminary thoughts here as these two teams look to do battle?
Well, I just echo a lot of the sentiment we're seeing from a lot of different experts right now. It's that Cafe is a great map for TSM. I will say it's an okay map for Giants. The few times they played it in recent history, they have been winning it. But nothing, it's not a map they're typically going to. It is a map that they typically ban. So unless Giants did a lot of targeted research on TSM's Cafe, I do think it's a mistake to bring us here. We're looking at the bans. We've got some interesting ones. Mostly the Nomad is the main takeaway from that ban phase. The rest of them kind of makes sense, inline standard. But the Nomad is going to facilitate a lot of aggression, and Nomad as an operator for TSM on this map is very likely going to be a mainstay. I'll check those stats right now, and yes, indeed, as I check it, Nomad is used 100% of the time when available by TSM and offers a 71% success rate, but that's over just 2 games, so that data is very limited still. I think that's a well-targeted ban for Giants, as it kind of debilitates the North American Cafe structure.
Bandit showing as well and not getting 6 picked off is a pretty good indicator as to what site that you're going to go to in this particular case. The only site that we really see a lot of prevalency with Bandit happens to be this bottom floor site. And when we say bottom floor, it's first floor, depending on where you come from. This is either the ground floor, the basement, the first floor, wherever you want to call it. I'm not here to argue. But it's the first floor, it's the kitchen.
I mean, I've called it a basement before, but I'm objectively wrong when I do that. It's just it's like one of those carryovers from, like, you're casting Clubhouse all day, and then you're going to the bottom floor, and you're like, oh, wait, not basement. First floor, 0 floor, it's weird. Depends on where you're from, really.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Anyway, way the Cafe plays out for everybody.
You didn't say anywho.
Well, because I try to change it up, Michael. It's not always any way. Maybe it's a way. Maybe it's a who. Anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes. Anyway, there you go. Anywho. Is that better?
I got him in a loop. Oh no, he's broken.
I'm short-circuiting, but given the matches that we just saw get played, I expect the Giants will be coming into this firing on all cylinders. TSM has not been as dominant as they've wanted to be coming into SI, and I think that holds with every NA team. Dark Zero in particular has been a major disappointment. It is possible that both TSM and SSG will disappoint today as well. It really just depends on how the matches go. And for NA, they're going to need to start getting some wins on the board as a region, because right now the only region that they're behind is APAC. And while this is an APAC versus NA matchup, and the Giants are just cleaning shop. My goodness, we are a minute into this matchup, and it's 3-0 for the Giants in terms of kills. Geo pulls out the sidearm after taking out Lunar Metal at the top of red stairs. Pistol versus pistol. Oh, but Jordan wins that one. Chala's downstairs going, what the hell happened?
Well,
where'd y'all go?
I can tell you what happened. The roamers for TSM got absolutely clobbered. An extensive external roam for TSM, and this is typical North American meta, and Giants picked it apart. So I did talk about how it's possible the Giants read into how TSM plays this map, know exactly what they do and how to counter it, and that one round suggests that that is the truth, because wow, that was a really great counter. So good shot from Chala, but he'll be shot through the wall by Ysera before he can even get back to the site. Not that we expected him to win that round. Yeah, good read from the Giants, and you could tell they are still hyped up after their last match against Makers.
TSM are coming in cold, and during the last SI, they were actually talking about this quite a bit, basically saying that, they always had the very early games. I think Fnatic and TSM were always starting off in one of the first matches of the day, and I mean, you don't want to make excuses for teams. These are professional players. But having to get up and play the first game every single day at 9 or 10 a.m., that's absurd. I couldn't do it. Could you do it?
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to. I've done it before, actually.
How did you play this game?
Defenders, protect your
yeah.
bombs from being defused by attackers.
That was a joke.
That's my first ever pro match was like at 2 a.m. or something like that. So
let's boil down what exactly happened there, or at least what we saw, because those 3 picks from the Giants happened all off screen, leaving Gio and Chala fend for themselves against the hordes. And I mean, we got to see Gio's perspective, we got to see the perspective of Chala, but this is one thing that APAC is known for. We referred to LATAM as the most aggressive region quite often, but no, I would argue that the most aggressive region at the moment is APAC. They tend to play a very loose style, and they're very unexpected. If you go back and you watch any of the APAC stuff, whether it be North or South, one of the hallmarks of these teams is their ability to find an opening and then just get in as quickly as they can and make you pay for that.
yeah, and they certainly did in that round. I think it's calculated though. I think, you know, it was unpredictable on TSM's side, but I do think, based off that first round, that Giants just know what they're getting themselves into. And the thing that suggests to me that Giants did the research is mostly the Nomad ban, because Nomad is such an integral part of the majority of North American Cafe rounds on attack. And even though, you know, there's limited data on TSM playing Cafe because they don't often get brought here, they still managed to figure that one out, get that ban in. I think it's going to cause problems for TSM on the second half, but here in the first, strategically, Giants know what to expect from their opponent, and I love seeing stuff like that. I also like seeing that TSM is going to switch up the site and try something different.
So they showed their hand a little bit with that bandit pick as well, and if the Giants understood this and they just drone out that top floor and then get in quickly, well, you can sweep out the roamers and then pressure the site. TSM has played Cafe an awful lot, so if you're a good team that counter-strats them, and I mean, obviously, heading in today, the Giants had an idea of what maps they were going to want to play in their matches. So if they suspect that Cafe could be on the board, and if you talk to most coaches, Michael, they'll tell you that they have a good idea of what the final 2 maps, final 3 maps will be when the ban phase comes down, that they were prepped and ready for that. And I didn't really see all that much from TSM that looked that different. Now, obviously, things can change here as it's a reading defense for the second round, and we're at the halfway mark with very limited action.
Yeah, this is a different pace being set by Giants. They're being a lot more standard in their take, and it's working out for TSM so far as Bolo gets the lead-off pick from Pixel, or possibly from Bathroom. Either way, he's got the double angle he can play here. And this is the perfect operator to play it with a 1.5, no recoil, lots of ammunition. That Frost is going to be a powerful tool in that position. The main focus for the Giants seems to be on reading. So they'll throw a nade over to try and get the mute jammer, or possibly a kill in the actual site. So far, though, no refrag from Giants. They continue one man down.
Well, Speakeasy there will be able to trade off Merc. It comes a bit delayed, so it's not an actual bona fide refrag, but it's pretty close. He peeks around the corner in a second for Bolo as he can't be moved off of this position. He's playing by Pixel and will continue to hold that one down, wasting time on a floor where the bomb site is not located. But for the second round in a row, the Giants are able to exploit the fact that, well, TSM doesn't know where they're going to hit him from. Hysterics as well, as it's Ysera and Hysterics against 2 final players from TSM. Chala and Gio were the last 2 alive in round 1. They'll be in the same position this time. Unfortunately for Ysera, he plays around the wrong corner, and Chala lines him up and finds 2. Give him an appreciation post on the subreddit because he clutches out that round for TSM to equalize.
Huge round from Chala. He does not want to take an L here. He was the only player left alive in the site in the first round. In the second, able to clutch up inside of reading. I gotta say, that's a lot closer than it ought to have been for TSM. Lead-off pick for TSM. Bolo gets a 2-piece from Pixel, and still somehow the Giants bring it into a 2-on-2. That is not supposed to be happening. Way closer than TSM expected. And I think, you know, you were talking about how it does take some time to warm up, Parker, and you're right. TSM are going to need to warm up real fast because clearly Giants are still revving on all cylinders here.
It was still a close round, but that reading site is a hard one to successfully take, especially if you're at even numbers. Oftentimes, the successful attacks on reading that we find are you have control of cocktail, you've got lots of openings, usually off the back of a sledge, off the back of a buck, what may you. And then once you hold that angle from above, you get the diffuser down either by the reading door or by the laundry, and then you hold it from above. And you force the defenders to try to retake. Maybe they're going to try to play the angles that are there. Oftentimes, it doesn't work out in their favor. So, all told, the Giants tried to do the same thing that they did in that very first round, which was get in, bulldoze through whatever limited defense they saw. And the Giants, even though they lost that round, were still able to find that gap where TSM wasn't looking. It was the push up white stairs where TSM's entire attention was elsewhere. And of course, only 2 players left. At that point, when you're defending reading, you've got 2 players left. One is going to be sitting inside of the bomb site in reading, and the other is likely going to be playing over by engine or by dining.
Well, third site here in the third round. Keeping on mixing it up if you're TSM. Top floor is going to play out similarly to what we just saw in the last round, but obviously much more focus upstairs. They're still going to have to deal with somebody playing by Pixel. This time they've also got a Mira on TSM side. Castle being brought to slow things down. And there's a Mira window in the bathroom. Bolo still playing this spot, but a different operator this time. Jaeger. Good kit to hold this. Now, the recoil changes on Jaeger not really going to affect a player like Bolo as much as it affects the rest of us.
It's actually kind of funny to see if any of those changes had made a huge difference or not. Obviously, there was a whack of balancing changes that went into effect right before this one, but like I think you pointed it out correctly. And some people have also kind of argued that the changes aren't that huge of a difference.
I don't really notice the difference that much, to be honest. It feels, I don't know, it does feel more like you have to engage your brain a little bit more to actually use his gun, but it's not that bad. I feel like it's going to be really bad on console, though. And I don't play console, but I feel like it would be terrible there.
I mean, isn't recoil slightly different on console than it is?
I don't know, actually.
I actually don't know either, so that's a question that somebody smarter than us can, of course, answer. The stall, by the way, for TSM right now is over by Lumber at the top of White. That's where Merc is going to be sitting. He's in the hallway watching those Surya gates, just trying to waste as much time as possible.
That was so clever. I love what they're doing with the Surya gates and the ADSs here, and it's allowed Bolo to maintain his position. Now, they did lose the Mira window. That has been opened up, but at the same time, what a great setup from TSM to hold on to Bathroom, and that's going to continue to waste the very limited time. Only 45 seconds left for the Giants. So I love little strats like this from TSM, or from anyone for that matter, and it is interesting to watch.
And Bolo is going to be such a massive impediment here that if they can't do anything to take care of him, then the Giants might as well just move on with their day, because look at him. He's sitting on 2 ADSs. He's sitting on a mute jammer. He's sitting on these 2 Surya gates and a Mira window as well, which, by the way, interesting that it shows that it's fizzling away. You see that on the screen, almost as if it's been disabled by any EMP.
That's the X-Kairos.
Oh, that is the X-Kairos. That's odd that it's clipping through. Anyway, don't want to get too bogged down with that because there's only 10 seconds left, so here comes the punishment. Can the Giants capitalize off of it? Well, for now, they have a numbers advantage, but it swings right back because guess who hasn't been moved from his spot? It's Bolo, doing Bolo things. If Bolo has 1 million fans, I am one of them. While Bolo has not 1 million kills, but he picks up a nice 3-piece to end the round because he couldn't be shaken off of his position. And that's 2 in a row for TSM.
Big round from Bolo, and you can see he can feel that one on his face too. Nice big smile to answer that 3K. So control from Pixel, unwavering, and you mentioned it, Parker. Giants didn't manage to push him out the entire round. Looks like we're getting a call for a pause from the Giants. We'll see what happens there. What we do know for sure is that TSM are looking a lot better of these last 2 rounds. I will say that again came very close, though. The explosive entry from Giants almost worked out. That was very nearly disaster for TSM. But again, just thanks to Bolo sweeping in from behind, it wasn't. I think that it could have gone better there for the Giants if they left one person to hold the push and through piano, preventing Bolo from flanking the entirety of the attack. But Giants did not opt to do that, and it cost them the round.
Well, we've got a technical pause coming up, which is not a tactical pause, by the way. For those that are curious, a tactical pause is when you pause the game for tactical reasons, aka a timeout is taken by the team. A technical pause comes out when there's a technical issue. And there was some problems on the side of the Giants. They're on your screen right now. We'll see if we can get this lobby up quickly and then get everybody back into the action. In the meantime, while this happens, the coaches are not allowed to talk to the players. You can see that Gig on behalf of the Giants and Pojo on behalf of TSM, neither have their mics in a position where they are capable of speaking. Pojo is obviously very dramatically upwards, as a lot of the coaches have to, because your mic as a coach is locked until the admins can unlock it and allow you to talk in TeamSpeak or whatever VoIP you're using. In this case, I think they're using TeamSpeak. So the players can discuss amongst themselves. And this is one of the things where, because Rainbow Six does not allow a coach to speak between rounds, only once a map when a timeout is called, technically twice a map if there's 2 timeouts called by either team, your leadership on TSM and your leadership on Giants need to come through strongly here. That's where somebody like Achieved and like Lunar Metal are going to be guiding these teams forward and hoping that this downtime is being used to great effect. And you can see it, TSM have been very vocal throughout the process of this timeout so far.
Yeah, just considering their options, their strategies that they can employ here. We've already seen some good stuff from both teams. And we'll go ahead and load right back into the map. Going into round number 4, score line of 2-1 TSM. And they'll go back to the dreaded kitchen service, kitchen cooking, or just kitchen. What we do know is that the first time we went here, it was a very explosive and aggressive rush strat for the top 2 floors to eliminate the roamers, gain the advantage early for the Giants, which worked out tremendously for them. TSM basically had no chance there as soon as it became just Chala and a 1v5. I expect there to be a very different strategy employed here from TSM and Giants alike. I don't think they're going to go for such a quick execute this time.
They 6-picked onto the bandit, by the way, probably to try and conceal where they were going. I know that it's just, this is low-hanging fruit to look at and be like, oh, a bandit, where's the bandit going to go? Well, the bandit's going to be used to defend the bottom floor, and like I said, you're not going to see him used anywhere else. In fact, if you look at the rotation that TSM has gone through, service and cooking, which is technically where we are right now, which is just referred to as kitchen, reading and dining, and then bar cocktail upstairs, bandit only showed up on this site. And that's because in a lot of ways, when you're using denial on the other floors, a mute jammer is far more effective. You can use a Mozzie Pest if available. You can use a Kaid if available. There's lots of different denial, and bandit has slowly but surely fallen out of the meta. And his Kaid's pick rate has soared, knowing that those Electric Claws are pretty good, and the AUG in his hands, also a mighty fine weapon.
No, biggest thing is that it's easier to hide the Electric Claws, and they cover so much.
Also
too.
true. Yes.
Yeah. Like, there's some spots you could put Electric Claws that genuinely can be absolute puzzles for the attacking team and waste minutes. So, and that's obviously only if the Thatcher's banned, which is, so let me check my data here. Most of the time, almost all of the time, I'm guessing. Let's see. Thatcher is banned 76% of the time. The most banned attacker, flat out. Go figure.
Some goo mines out as this hold is going to be on the 3rd floor, very similar to what we see as TSM's very first defense involved them being spread out on all 3 floors of this map. Waste time, waste some drones, waste as much utility as you can, and just simply play off of each other. Now, the Giants were able to pick it apart quite effectively, and well, they are a little bit behind the ball in terms of numbers, and now very first casualty comes out for the Giants. So this isn't the same start that they had last time they were here. It might get worse, but no, Lunar shuts down the possibility of Bolo finding 2.
That's huge because Bolo was such a playmaker from Pixel the last 2 times he was able to play here. And now that he's gone, all that will linger are his cams. But that's still good information, assuming it takes time for Giants to find them. What's not good for TSM is Ysera picking up a kill onto Merc. And now, with reading control, thanks to Ysera's entry, they've got a good platform to launch their attack into the bottom floor.
We can take a bit of a breather here and a pause. The only player off-site that they weren't successfully clearing out is Achieved. He's going to be able to exist a little while longer. He's got a Nitro Cell in hand as well. So if somebody from Giants makes too much noise above, they can get lobbed up and be used to their doom. That would put us back into a 3v3. With 50 seconds to go, Giants still have some work to do. This is the only site that they were successful on. They've cleared out that 3rd floor, and oh, they almost have the 2nd floor, but Geo's pre-placed C4 connects, takes out Lunar Metal. Back to a 3v3, as we've said. Achieved didn't have to wager that C4 either. So it can be used for plant denial, it can be used to try and stall times. Yana Clone drops down into Freezer, it's punished by Chala, but not before that intel can be given to the rest of Giants to capitalize off of. The 3 remaining members from TSM are all sitting inside of the site, so the burden is now on the Giants to get there. And they're wasting their time. They've taken about 20 seconds off of the clock after the buck fell. They haven't really been able to do all that much. Now repositioning. Heading in towards the front of Freezer where Geo is sitting, and he takes out one inside a prep. He thinks he's got another over inside a small bakery, but there's nobody there, so now he'll look towards the double doors leading into kitchen. All the while, the Giants are wasting time. It's timeout. Where are you? You're nowhere near the site. You just took way too long to find your footing, and because of it, TSM wins as the round runs out in a 3v2. 5 players still alive. Doesn't matter. It's 3-1 TSM.
Not enough time there for the Giants. They slowed down their attack a lot compared to the first time when they were attacking onto the bottom floor. And that was, that's tough to watch. I like that we saw Lunar Metal get the re on Bolo, who was playing by Pixel. That's super important because it opened up control of the top floor very early on, about 70 seconds left in the round or so, and that pick happens. That kill right there, that C4, that's a Valkyrie cam. And that's the biggest problem. We actually saw Valkyrie cams in play here as well. As you can see all those marks there being made from the defenders, those are also Valkyrie cams calling out for the last 2 players on the Giants. And this is why, I mean, I always like to bring it up when Valkyrie's in play. This is why you ban Valkyrie. I mean, it doesn't even really matter what map. It's kind of the same principle as the Thatcher. She's so universal in her effect that you gotta get rid of her. And I know it's like a completely different effect. Thatcher disables gadgets, Valkyrie has cameras that sees things, information, yada yada. But it's such a pain to deal with because you have to bring a counter specifically for Valkyrie. There needs to be an IQ now on Cafe if you even consider there might be a Valkyrie. Here there isn't, but it can completely upset your lineup on attack, and it's just a really awkward operator to deal with at times.
Well, Giants were warmed up. That first round was theirs, second round was close, but since then TSM has been very firmly in the driver's seat for the last 2 rounds, and obviously this is Cafe. This is a map that... What are the numbers on it through this tournament? Because I know I can go off of regular season numbers, but I'm curious to know exactly the place as to whether TSM is simply winning because they're on defense or if this map is pretty up in the air. Anyway, as I said all that, go ahead.
Do you want to know? Yeah, Cafe's been played 4 times before this one, 55% defensive win rate. The worst side has been service and kitchen.
Say it. Did you say repeat that?
It said that the 55% defensive win rate on Cafe of the 4 times it's been played prior to this, the worst site is the bottom floor.
Got it, thank you. Yeah, the last one was the last part was the part I did not hear. Anyway, as Jordan looked to entry down by delivery, he gets cut off at the pass and loses 25% of his HP in that ensuing fray as it was Achieved whose hands almost took down the lone hard breacher of Giants. Third floor control, or at least part of it, is now in favor of the Giants as they start their assault and begin to work away at the defense from inside a piano.
It's been a good chip away here from Giants, but I'm noticing the slower Giants get with their attacks, the worse the attack goes for them. Obviously, they've lost 3 in a row now. You only really need to get, I'd say, like at minimum 2 rounds. 3 would be solid if you're on the attack here. But it's not been terrible from the Giants. It's just they do have some trouble if they're slowing down like they are right now.
Well, there's a grenade that goes down. Merc trying to avoid it. Geo isn't quite so lucky as he finds himself felled to the hands of the R4C of Hysterics. Ysera pays for that one with Bolo able to get 1 kill, and Merc will collect 1 quite easily onto Lunar Metal. Pivots to look for Speakeasy, but he loses out on that. 3v3, the Giants coming to blows with TSM. The thing is that while you've been able to clear out 2 of those players from TSM, you don't have a ton of time to work with. And as time has gone on now in this matchup, Giants seem to be behind the ball of the clock. Got that top floor control. You have to translate it though, Michael. 30 seconds left, and this is what I said. When you want to get a successful take on the reading, you absolutely need to control Cocktail, and they have that right now. The setup from TSM spread in such a way that they can't really influence that top floor. So they'll have to stop the plant in its tracks and force the top floor defense on down. There you go. Nice toss from Chala. Jordan takes down, and now there goes Hysterics too. That leaves Speakeasy on that top floor. As I said, you've isolated them. He takes down 1. He's a great shot, but he's got 2 more kills to find with just a second to go. He'll find Bolo, but finding him is only half the battle. You got to kill him as well. Unsuccessful, and TSM takes yet another round. They're up 4-1.
Top floor clear worked out, but they lost their buck. That's crucial. The vast majority of your soft destruction eliminated. They had 2 sets of breach charges, but Giants still couldn't use that to leverage any pick on the site because TSM was playing very safe in their positioning. They even had somebody in the bottom floor waiting for a late flank up round stairs, and it worked out for TSM. They had the C4 for the denial as well. There you go, perfectly placed. Gas canisters to add a little bit of extra difficulty for the planters. TSM were well prepared to defend reading despite having lost their roamers upstairs. And those roamers did take as much as they lost. So that's a solid roam, if you ask me. TSM really adept at their defense of that site. They'll go to the top floor next to see what they can work out here.
Well, what do you think the Giants can try to fix at this point? Because, I mean, they set expectations in that very first round. Obviously, they squeeze out a win over Makers. Makers who have so far surprised everybody. And then struggled every other round. And things have gotten worse for them. Last 3 rounds in particular have not looked like a strong understanding whatsoever from this Giants team.
Yeah, it's weird, Parker, because the first round was a bit of a rush strat. It was not an explicit rush to contact on site strat. It was a let's see how quickly we can take out these roamers strategy with minimal droning, and that worked. The moments that have worked for the Giants so far have been all tied to their aggression and their ability to coordinate an aggro push as a unit. So if they're going to attack something without, you know, the prior consideration that most teams apply to their attack, they do it as a team, and usually it works out for them because they'll have man advantage because they're balling up to go for that execute. But when they fail is usually when they find themselves isolated in 1v1s on tight angles. They get too slow on their attack, too strategic. And I guess they just need to speed it up.
Well, the thing that I'm going to be focusing on is whether they can deal with Bolo's position inside a bathroom. This was the greatest headache for Giants, and I honestly think that this is the setup that the Giants have struggled with the most so far on all of their attacks.
I agree.
They were entirely unsuccessful at taking out Bolo, who's surrounded by those 3 Surya gates. He's sitting with 2 ADSs, a mute jammer, and a mirror window. That is an absolutely unbelievable amount of utility from TSM. The problem is that if you cut through that very quickly, and if a team is adept at doing so, all that utility is in a way wasted in its position. So we'll see exactly what influence the Giants can have on that, or if they're going to find another way to go at this site while not having Bolo be a factor.
They might do an east overtake here. We've seen this before. And it looks like that's what the Giants are setting up for now. Nade used to get the castle barricade. And the mirror window has been opened up inside a cocktail. So if you can go for, yeah, it looks like a pinch. It's an east and west take, but they're trying to avoid the south side of the building where Bolo exists, and that makes sense because he can, at that position, they just clearly are not, they don't know what to do with it. Even when they got the mirror window open, Giants still didn't know what to do with it. So may as well just try and go around. They are poking it, though. That's very dangerous. They have to be careful not to give away a free pick to Bolo here. And considering how well he's been landing his shots from this position so far in this match, that's not an easy task.
Well, look at the time. 40 seconds to go. Just setting up nicely for the execute for the Giants, as they've still got everybody alive and have managed to do a bit of damage to TSM. If you add Geo and Chief together, well, they're going to be at perfect HP. That means a couple bullets here or there or an explosion will stop them in their tracks, but like that, Bolo and Achieved come alive. Geo shut down by a nade. Does he need to be particularly effective right now? The Giants trail. As Chala finds one. Almost a team ace. Nice shot from Yasera. He's going to have to clutch up. The diffuser is miles away. Bolo's been down, so it's him versus Chala in a 1v1. Does he have this intel? Tries to go around the corner, but Chala is there, so he'll continue to maneuver. This is a standoff. Firing left, firing right, but Chala gets felled. Yasera, a huge round. Giants take the 6th and final round on attack, and they set themselves up well as they now move to defense.
And they really needed that one, Parker. That's huge for Yasera, but also just for Giants as a whole. What a clutch. 4K for the man. Giants managed to salvage the first half. It was getting awfully close to a 5-1 though, Parker, and I was really worried that the Giants we saw against the Makers had fallen asleep, but not so. if that round is anything to go by. They just need to find their own stride. I feel like, and I'm worried about the fact that Giants might have succumbed to the flow of TSM. When you're playing Siege, one of the most important things is that you play your game. You can definitely adapt to your opponent, and you should bring counter strategies and put thought into how you can be better than your enemy in specific ways, but you also have to remember to play your own game of Siege. And the few moments of greatness we've seen from the Giants so far through Cafe have been when they do just that. But there are some little hints being dropped here and there that they're worried about how TSM plays, and that will not do. They're going to need to correct that as they go into the second half.
Well, I mean, we talk about momentum, we talk about confidence and all of that. Giants obviously coming into this game with an abundance of confidence after their result against Makers. Not that they shouldn't have confidence, but I mean, I think if you're the Giants, you look at the fact that you are one of the best performing teams in APAC historically. Now you're playing down in APAC South. And when I say down, I mean geographically, not in terms of standings. You're now playing in
South.
Yeah, because it's South. South is down. North is up. That's just the way it works. I don't make the rules here, Michael. They're playing down in APAC South now, and, well, they've had their hands full. The Giants have looked like a shadow of themselves in that region. Now, you're playing up against Aussie Siege. You talk to Xenox, you talk to Guz, you talk to anybody from APAC, and they're all going to tell you the same thing. Aussie Siege is an absolute and utter nightmare. So enjoy the chaos that comes with that region's gameplay. And I'm sure the Giants have learned an awful lot down there. But this is still historically one of the strongest teams to come out of APAC. They were known as Aerowolf for quite a long period of time before they defeated the Giants and then stole their org from them, by the way. Almost like they were a vampire. They defeated the Giants at Tokonami and then literally sucked the org out of them, and then they just became them. Giants, obviously, by the way, now who have rebranded. But you go up against Makers, and frankly, on paper, Giants should have been way more successful in that matchup than they were. I'm sure they're still confident about it, but you come in hot and you're getting humbled by TSM right away. That is a lot to handle, and I can see how the Giants could have been knocked on their heels because of that.
One thing I want to highlight here is I loved what we saw from TSM strategically on the top floor with their setup by bathroom, and it was an advanced strategy. It was definitely a very specific type of hold. It was super cool. This is a very default sort of hold from the Giants. They didn't even leave one of the bathroom walls open to give the person playing Pixel a double angle. They were just relying on the shield. This is some old stuff that Giants are trying to employ here, and I don't think it's going to work very well. I know that TSM are adept at handling this, so this might be a problem for them.
Haven't we talked about this on other maps, though, when old strategies become new strategies as they cycle in and out? Think back to Clubhouse, where the meta for a long period of time was dropping Kitchen Hatcher, dropping Blue, and then all of a sudden we start to see teams coordinating between both a Dirt Push and a Moto Hatch. So, oh, what a shot from Achieved. He manages to get away with it. Almost literally 1 HP, and the Lion is burned to try to keep him alive to see if anybody from the Giants repositions. It's been a bad game from Jordan so far. He's the only player in the lobby yet to find a kill. And that's going to continue now as he's punished by Achieved.
Yeah, rough one for sure. Achieved with some great awareness there. And again, it's because Jordan only had one angle to peek out of. That's why you make the bathroom angle. I know they were trying to couple it with the back bar storage shield, but I don't know. That's two different positions, two different people, and they're not playing off their own, position. They have to play off each other. That requires an abundance of coordination. C4 goes out and misses, and I think it also might have destroyed another C4 that was pre-placed below, but regardless, the push is in here for TSM, and it's being shut down by the Giants. Now suddenly they find themselves in the driver's seat with only 5 seconds left. TSM have to go for a plant. It's now or never, and they're just losing too many bodies. They'll all fall down as the Giants take their first defensive round.
First round on defense, no problem. TSM get that early pick, but they can't snowball anything from it, as Achieved us to reposition downstairs, and the sledge being out of action meant that the grenades couldn't be super effective, and additionally, he wasn't capable to frag at all on his position. Likely heading towards the white stairs instead of red stairs in hopes of maybe applying some pressure to the defenders who were sitting inside a cocktail. But all Giants need to do is just sit and wait. Hold an angle towards piano, hold an angle towards back bar, hold an angle towards the doorway leading from Cigar. That's it. That's all you really need to do at that point. TSM did not look like they had the full whereabouts of them. It didn't look like they had enough utility to break through it, whether it be because it was denied by the Giants or just simply mismanaged by TSM in the middle of that round. So the Giants look quite steady, and they defend a site that we don't see defended all that often. Kudos to them for that. Also, by the way, just as a side note before you get in here, 2 rounds in a row where Chala was left to try and win, and he failed to clutch both. You delete that appreciation post, Reddit. You delete it right now. He's lost his appreciation post. It's not allowed. Remove it.
Chala washed? Question mark?
Unearned. Unearned.
10 seconds left.
So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about the I think I was gonna talk about the execution or something like that. Hang on. My brain. Oh, right. I was going to say something along the lines of TSM as a team have always been one of those squads in North America, you know, in their local region where when it comes to that explosive, crazy team fight with only a few seconds left on the clock, usually TSM wins those fights, right? I think we could say, would you agree with that, Parker? Like they're good at that, those close brawls, the insane, chaotic fights. I would also say that I think Giants are better at that. I think it's actually their forte. I think it's why they've been able to get so far in the Six Invitational group so far. And I think that if we get more rounds like the one we just saw, where the TSM are leaving it to the dying seconds and they're relying on their ability to win those team fights, I think they're going to see more results like the last round. So TSM is a team that needs to win in the structure department here if they want to take this map. At least that's my take.
I mean, you've got an unpredictable style in Giants who are exceedingly unpredictable, aggressive, always...
Are they unpredictably unpredictable?
Yes, I realize I said the same thing, Michael, okay? You know what? Sometimes we do that.
Sometimes we're a little unpredictable. I mean, you know, it's...
I went to the Stokes school of making things up on the spot, so... It's just...
I mean, he's got a lot more practice at it, so...
The man's teaching a masterclass course on it, Michael. Anywho, there's a Nitro Cell tossed out as we get the halfway mark hit. TSM still holds the lead, in part because of how strong they were when they were on defense. The volcanic shield goes off in front of Jordan, and he takes some damage as he escapes the flames as the fire rises. Hold on a second, hold on. The fire rises.
Sorry. I can't. I don't even remember the quote. I was born in it. That's it. That's all I remember. I'm
sorry. Bowler, by the way, gets the very first pick. Jordan's still fishing for a kill here now, Michael, as things are starting to heat up. And Lunar Metal's
embrace the darkness.
He's doing very well on his position. Castle Barricade to his left, line of sight to his right. So he's just going to hunker down for the time being, immune to this lion that goes off. TSM's advance is going to come right in line with Lunar Metal, who might have just seen the legs of one player. He lights up the Ash of Merc, but cannot connect. Good thing for him. Hysterix is there. Ysera goes down, but so does Merc. So it's traded out perfectly. Sidearm in hand is good enough for Geo, but down he goes as Lunar Metal still in this position. 3 kills. He's got Diffuser in front of him. Does he know? Yes, he does. Waiting very patiently for Chala. All future appreciation posts rest on how Chala does here. Oh, he gets one, but Hysterix says no more. Giants have equalized. 2 rounds in a row for them on defense means that it's a 4-4 game.
So this is really important. In North America, typically when you're defending on the top floor of Cafe, but not for the actual, like the site's not there, when you're trying to delay the roam clear, what you'll do in NA is about a minute 30 on the clock or a minute 20, the defenders defending on the top floor will fall down to the bottom floor. This is an automatic thing. It's all about timing. It's all about pacing. It's all about considering your enemy and what would be best in this situation. But you'll notice here, the action starts with 50 seconds left on the clock, and there's still a full defensive split on the top floor for the Giants. They never fell back. They aren't planning on falling back. They're planning on setting up a death trap on the top floor. And guess what? TSM, they are woefully unprepared for that. It's clear in their execution and the way that they came in from on the main bar, and they're not considering all the other angles from back bar storage by the white hallway. It was really harshly punished by Giants because, again, normally in NA, and not all the time, but normally in NA, those positions are just forfeited automatically by the defenders about half round left.
Well, I think this is as good a time as any to call a timeout and try to settle things down. And as you can see, we talked about how the headset was up. Well, now it's down. So now you know the coaches are talking. You're learning more and more by the day. We're trying to inform you. I remember reading some piece of criticism one time when we were talking about something in very basic terms like that, like the headset's down. Now you know they're talking. Like the person that said this criticism was like, casters were so condescending, treating us like we didn't know what we were talking about. And it's like, I had fun once and it was awful. I agree with you. That was like yesterday, by the way, as we now, after the timeout, and we'll let these teams reset, and we'll just take some time as they do set up, and then we can dive into the analysis here. I saw somebody yesterday after that whole Poggers clip that you and I did.
That was hilarious.
Somebody was like, Kixit and Taro just don't even cast the game. And it's like, no, you're right, we don't. I don't even have the Parsec feed open right now. I'm not watching.
Yeah, we're not watching the game.
I'm actually just watching the Twitch stream right now. So hello, Twitch chat. Say hello.
There's
I'm watching you right now. In fact,
there's some unpaid intern who's actually just like telling me what's happening in the game right now. He's just talking into my ear, and I'm just regurgitating it verbatim.
I have the stat tracking sheet open, and that's it. There's no visual in front of me.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. So that's just the way it works. The only criticism that I have is that allow casters to make jokes. There is so much downtime in this game. We have 3 minutes.
Are you criticizing Twitch chat?
We have 3 minutes.
That's a paradox, Parker. You don't want to go there, man.
We have 3 minutes of talking about setups and strats, and then post-round analysis and contextualizing whatever. It's like, just let us joke, man. Let people have fun. Ace cracks a joke and people are like, cringe casters, cast the game.
Well, we do have a game, and so far we haven't seen anything especially important happen. It's been pretty standard cafe, slow going on the top clear. We got some roamers out here for Giants, and they are, by the way, they have evened it up. Like, I think it's important that we highlight the fact that this was TSM looking in dominant form, and suddenly the score is even 4-4, and TSM's attacks have seriously struggled.
I mean, this has been the story for TSM so far. You know, I've watched a couple of their games. Obviously, we've had to go back and review games that we haven't been active in. And I will say, I mean, there's obviously a blessing and a curse of this SI being the way it is there goes the first line, the first bit of action. I'll get into what I was talking about later. You want to say something?
Okay, Bolo didn't know where he got shot from, but then he re-peeked where he got shot from and died. That's unfortunate. Definitely a big F there for Bolo. And those moments happen, but now Giants find themselves a man up, and that's about as massive a kill as you can get.
Keep in mind that as of right now, TSM are still in first in this group. They had that disappointing result the other day. They beat MIBR and they beat SSG, both pretty handily, but then lost to Makers, and Makers are proving to be the kryptonite for a lot of teams, so that's not exactly much of a surprise. But still, TSM in some of their rounds have looked quite shaky, and they talked about this for those that don't follow the NA League. They talked about before we went into the most recent stage, but they were still trying to figure things out. They were still trying to find their footing. Well, it appears that against the Giants, they're going to need to find it pretty quickly, because you lose your footing, you're bound to trip and fall. As this Giants defense downstairs readies itself for the hurricane that TSM is going to bring, albeit a bit weaker than it could have been with Bolo out of action. And Azofia not on the board as well. That's particularly damning, with all that utility not very capable of influencing and execute. From above, Achieved is just making as much of a mess as possible. Grenade goes down, another kill for the Giants. Maybe add to that with Chala drop too. Giants in a 5v2 at this point. A Speakeasy picks up both of those kills. Mark from above, he's looking for more than a single one. Can't find it. How about a flawless round for the Giants to take 3 in a row? And also with it, the lead.
Parker, I mentioned it earlier, and I feel weird, like a broken record at this point, regurgitating it now, but it's the truth. I wholeheartedly believe that the Giants are one of, if not the best teams at winning in those last little spurts of chaotic battle. They are so good at keeping their guns up and being ready to take fights when their backs are against the wall. And this applies to their attacks and their defense. There were some rounds in the first half where TSM nearly lost, despite the attackers having almost no strategic legs to stand on, and them just pushing their way into the building like, hey, let's take some fights. Giants almost took some of those rounds, but some of them come down to like 2v1s or 1v1s. But whatever, TSM, they managed a 4-2 half. Good for them on the first half. Now on defense, the Giants are waiting out TSM And then when the onslaught comes, it's always just Giants destroying TSM in the chaotic battle. TSM is not going to win like that. They have to prioritize getting early picks. They have to prioritize peeling away at the structure of the Giants. And I know that it's weird for TSM because they're used to being the predominant team in that weird, you know, team battle chaos thing. But it's not going to be the case here.
Attackers are moving out to locate
the Giants are playing in such a way that it seems like you need to match their tempo. We've a couple matches that come to mind with this one. Obviously, it's the Six Invitational. A good one to talk about is, of course, a NIP SSG match that we saw for the grand finals previously. What happened there? Well, NIP was setting the tempo round through round and trying to force SSG to play their same game. It wasn't until SSG got some confidence, just as Hysterics has apparently right now, to take Achieved out. That is bad. That is very bad. Down goes your sledge, down goes the grenades, down goes the soft destruction. This is going to be a major problem now, as there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this round for TSM to play from behind.
A bomb has been located.
I mean, it's doable, Parker, for sure. It's very scary here for TSM, who have found themselves on the bad side of these attacking rounds every single time. I feel like they're going to be most comfortable and confident on a top floor attack, but now they have to work from behind without their nades. The biggest thing is they lose their only set of nades. Luckily, they have an Ashe and a Zofia, so at least in terms of destroying things, they should be okay. But in terms of, you know, getting a kill, potentially with a grenade, it's just not going to happen.
I'm not allowed to finish my anecdotes. I mean, I suppose that's probably a sign for me to be less wordy. But I'm not allowed to tell stories about things, and I was going to say,
this is a good time.
Giants are forcing TSM to play their game, and TSM have things that they do quite well. When you've got Bolo, Achieved, and Merc firing on all cylinders, it doesn't matter what tempo the opponents want to play on. You're usually good enough on TSM's side to force them into a position they don't want to be in. You've then got Geo and Chala for backup. At this current pace, Achieved and Merc are sleeping on that scoreboard, and that's a big problem for this TSM team. They are often known for having an incredible amount of depth, and that depth has not really shown up today the way they need it to. Anywho,
yeah,
it's another cocktail and bar take for TSM. They've got a minute to go, and they've made their way to the top of red and are looking quite eagerly to exert some of their force and willpower onto the site.
Okay, first of all, I have to say I love the way that TSM have picked away at this utility. They've managed to very efficiently and effectively get rid of shields, evil eyes, and all the, you know, utility that the Giants, the defenders, are going to be putting up. They're doing a great job strategically at starting to chip away at these defenders. That impact is going to get some of the X-Gyros that would have opened the cocktail wall, though. That will allow Ysera to play his powerful position for longer as we go into the last 30 seconds.
Ysera was very pivotal in this before, and he's going to be the one anchoring down a long play towards Cigar. Ping's coming in for him to have that intel, and 20 seconds left mean that TSM don't really have a lot of time. The luxury right now, well, it's in the Giants' hands. If they prevail here, it's match point, and Ysera's going to be a kingmaker potentially. Lunar Metal and Speakeasy with one down goes Speakeasy. He pays for it. Jordan finds his very first kill, and it's Chala in a 1v4. Make it a 0v4. Jordan's 2 big kills, his first 2 of the game. They push the Giants to match point.
Yeah, and if these attacks from TSM are anything to go by, I mean, I don't have a lot of faith, to be honest. I really was impressed by the fact that TSM were so efficiently clearing out that utility, but the effect was negligible, to say the least. They didn't get pixel control. They weren't able to clear out backbar storage. They weren't able to open up cocktail and apply pressure, maybe get a pick off of that. There's not enough of an angle here that TSM are playing to leverage the advantage. I mean, this kill right here onto Achieved, that goes a long way, of course. But it's not the reason why TSM lost that round, in my opinion. Sometimes those leadoff picks, especially when unanswered, are the reason. Not that one. That one is just TSM, once again, are only trying to push in through the main bar. Why not try and throw some kind of curveball? We've seen curveballs already for that exact execute from Giants in this map. We saw Giants, okay, well, they were having problems just straight executing through Cigar into the main bar. What do? They put Ysera on Heaven Repel. He came in, he picked up a 4K and won the round in a 1v1. Employ some kind of variable, if you're TSM right now, to try and change your attack to be less predictable. Because, again, this predictable, however chaotic, last 20 seconds, team battle, I said it before, say it again, it's going to keep working for Giants.
NA teams were talked about heading into this matchup by being the slowest of the 4 major regions. In fact, NA's own Helby, who works for Vitality. Sorry.
Wait, what?
Got something caught in my throat there. Sorry. Anyway.
You okay, Parker?
NA's own Helby, who works for Vitality, said that NA was by far and away the slowest region, and oftentimes would wait until the clock hit 20 to 30 seconds and have no choice but to push. They were just not taking any level of assertiveness to heart. And time again, we're seeing this. SSG, way too slow. DZ, oftentimes way too slow. OXG, when they were playing on Consulate just the other day, way too slow. And right now, TSM on attack are looking so weak. These are 5 rounds in a row from the Giants, by the way. 5 unanswered rounds. The timeout from TSM did very little. They have not been able to solve this. And a lot of these rounds right now on defense by Giants are not particularly close. TSM are getting either forced up to take a pick early on as well. Hey, there you go. This is a good sign. Merc starts things off with an early pick. It's a minute into the round. TSM have an advantage. But like we said before, they got an early pick, but they couldn't snowball it last time.
It's still exactly what they need, though. I mean, probably going to need to add to it, but at least that is going to hurt the roam on the top floor ever so slightly. Again, though, they might be used to the top floor being free. This time, it's not going to be. Giants are still going to hold upstairs for as long as they possibly can. This long angle being played by the Eager of Lunar Metal is going to actually distract Achieved and allow for a pick onto Bolo elsewhere. Good job to Hysterics with the leadoff kill for his team.
And he's going to get back inside. Ysera punished by Merc, as Merc is starting to come online right now. He was 1-6. He's picked up 3 kills since then, and well, his team is going to be better for it. And this round in particular, with Bolo off of the board, there's a lot more on the shoulders of Merc, and the rest of the team for that matter. But I think that Merc in his position, well, he's somebody that you're going to need to keep an eye on, just as we're keeping an eye on Hysterics right now. Lion's going to get called out, and Achieved credited with that kill as he goes back to being the wrecking force he is from above. Merc, kill number 3. Lunar Metal tries to retake, but no appreciation for Chala, as he gives TSM their first round in almost 25 minutes. TSM still alive, but it's match point still for Giants, and they're going to hang on to that unless we go to OT.
Massive early pick for TSM, and the follow-up does not disappoint. Crucially, the Giants lost so much control when Jordan went down. For some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, the Giants adapted their roam on the top floor to be less direct and involved, especially around back bar storage. They had nobody playing back bar storage. Usually you have at least one player there. For the Giants, that round, not a single one. They had someone playing by pallets, but that person eventually just died. And since they had no cocktail control, there was no crossfire for the defense. There was no leverage for them to use to gain an advantage when the attackers started pushing in through the main bars. So that was just a weird setup from Giants, but also much more confidence on the side of TSM. And as you said, Parker, you're absolutely right. Merc coming alive in that round paid out huge.
This has been a storyline for a lot of these teams. We hammer on depth and depth and depth often. I know it's very easy for us to look at somebody who's playing really flashy and say, oh, you know, oh my God, somebody got 19 kills. Didn't Hysterics just do that against Makers? Didn't he go 19-10, by the way? And of course, you're going to be the talk of the town if you're just clobbering everybody and winning every duel no matter what they throw at you. But what we ought to focus on more is underperformance of certain players who are on roles that need to perform. Jordan going 2-5 in his position is not as bad as if Hysterics was going 2-5. The same way that Geo can be going 3-6, and that's not, I mean, it's not okay, but it's not as detrimental to your team the same way that if Merc or Bolo were doing that.
No way this works.
And it does not.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like Speakeasy was trying to leave at that point. He was like, nah, I'm going to get out. But yeah, that's just a wasted C4. And another wasted C4 potentially, or is he wow, okay, he gets that back.
The longest arms in the planet go to the defenders who can reach C4s clearly many feet above them.
Yeah, it's kind of weird sometimes. We've got a large pickup radius. So TSM They're taking a very different approach to clearing out this top floor, by the way, than they usually do. They are applying east pressure, which is going to make these defenders look both ways before defending the top floor.
I'll do or die for TSM. Overtime on the docket if they are able to prevail here. They did what looked unthinkable only just a couple minutes prior, which was blunting the momentum that the Giants had and breaking their streak. 5 unanswered rounds in a row. Almost 25 minutes of just pure domination from this APAC team.
Flawless round.
And there was a flawless round amidst that as well, and some big plays. Lunar Metal got a 3K, Speakeasy got a 3K. Great clutches on their behalf. And despite all this happening, by the way, TSM currently leads in opening picks, yet trails in the scoreline. This is something that we saw eerily similar with Cloud9. Jordan gets the very first pick, though. As I said, TSM usually prevails in the opening pick. Well, not this time. Peeking around, though, Lunar Metal, he can't even get one single kill. Damage done as he now turns away. He absolutely beheads Mark, and another on a Geo. Goodness gracious, the Giants right now locking everything down, and it's Lunar Metal serving up just a cocktail of pain to TSM. Chala and Bolo will have to do their best, and Chala will start a comeback now, potentially brewing in the mix. Bolo down, looking for yet another. He spots the Goyo of Speakeasy. Stopping that Banshee in its tracks. Bolo then pivots. 30 seconds left for TSM to push us into OT. The Giants want to be able to knock this one away, and the odds for them get even better now as Chala finds himself down and out. A 1v3. They'll have to retake through reading. The Giants have any intel? They do now. They know Chala's in there. He manages to get one. Trying to swing his way out of this position, but they can play the clock. He'll be immobilized as the objective is his. They'll have to get that diffuser down, and they know that. So they can just play off of him. He's also spotted on the default cam over by 90. Immobilized and vulnerable. He'll pop off, get one, but he's going to need to look for another, and he's out of time. So Jordan will be the hero. 3 kills to his name. At a 4th, the Giants take it, humbling TSM 7-5.
Wow. Just wow from Lunar Metal. What was that? GG. Well played. The Giants proved themselves indomitable on any position. That's the craziest thing. The one big difference, I think, for TSM, the thing they were not used to, that what brought Giants to that win, was the fact that when Giants are roaming or just anchoring or anything, they don't forfeit control. They never do. At least they very rarely do. And so the fact that you still have somebody in backbar storage and someone like Lunar Metal who's hitting shots like that, TSM just isn't ready for that. They expect to get that control, either be handed it for free, because that is, you know, somewhat the meta in North America at times, or just to win the fight because it's TSM. Not the case here.
Well, Giants still have one more match to play today, Michael. They're going to play Parabellum, and Parabellum obviously coming off a hot victory over Ninjas in Pajamas 7-4. Before we get to that one, though, we've got some matches here on this channel. OXG is going to be up in action over the next 2 games, and their final match of the day will be against TSM. So a bit of a breather for the NA team that just got defeated by the Giants. But before we get to all of that, as always, we've got a break. Sit tight. We'll be right back.